We're going to start with a bit of a layup. I'm sure we don't have a ton to say here. We're probably just going to laugh at Chelsea's pain. Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1. Isak in the 13th minute opened the scoring for the Geordies. Sterling got one back in the 23rd. He's been looking really, really good. Lascelles in the 60th. Joelinton in the 61st. I think it was actually like 30 seconds later. And then, as Dylan mentioned, Anthony Gordon in the 83rd, not playing for Everton, indeed playing for Newcastle. I will mention, this was a 4-1 win. It's at home. It's at Newcastle. 4-1 win for Newcastle. They didn't have Barnes, Botman, Byrne, and Wilson. And I know we're going to get into this. I want to say something about it. Reece James, the best ability is availability, and he's just not available that often. Michael, what are your initial thoughts here? You requested this game for us to chat about.
Okay, I requested this game because there's something in sports and playing video games that involve sports and stuff like that, where you, in FIFA, for example, you don't want to sign a 31-year-old. You want to sign a 22-year-old that has like all the potential in the world, and you want to do all this shit with, because obviously the game is constructed for him to be a 95 overall and crush everything. That is exactly what I think. Everybody, anytime they see a positive thing that Chelsea do, they get into this mindset that, okay, all these guys are going to come good, all these guys are going to start playing really well, and it has not happened one time on a consistent basis. They have 2 good results against a 9-man Spurs team, and then City, admittedly, at Chelsea, and I think it's probably one of the worst defensive games I've ever seen Man City play. Okay, fine, whatever, doesn't matter. Maybe Chelsea made them make all those mistakes. But all this, like, we're back, shit, well, you have to have some sustained run of form consistently to think that these players are going to start being consistent. You can't see 1 or 2 glimpses and be like, okay, now they're going to be good forever. That's ridiculous. I know Enzo didn't play, or he did play, sorry. He looked terrible. And he's like supposed to be the guy. I don't think he has a goal or an assist. Maybe just a goal the whole time he's been at Chelsea. Gallagher, I think, has been fine. Sterling's been their best player, and Man City didn't even want him. And then Cole Palmer, Man City also didn't want him, sent him over there. I mean, these guys are just... I can't do another week of... They're going to beat somebody that they shouldn't beat, maybe, and it's going to be the same talking point again, and I cannot... This is why I'm cutting back on social media. I can't deal with these people anymore. Like, it's it's too much. It's too much.
You're taking the wise words of a very smart man, Tyler, the creator. How can you get cyberbullied? Turn off your computer. So if you don't want to see it,
I seriously...
Just turn it off. Yeah.
I can't do it.
I do think Gallagher and Sterling have played really, really well this year. That's the bright spot. I said this 2 weeks ago. I think maybe even further back. I don't know, with the international break. You guys dodged a bullet with Caicedo. I think he's not very good.
Dude, I think about him and Lavia. Lavia hasn't played a game yet, and I understand he got there hurt, but again, what you said about Reece James, I as somebody who is a Liverpool fan, and him and Trent get lumped together constantly, I understand both of these players have positives. Reece James is far better defensively. Maybe people who are more analytical can look at it and they think he's a better player. I've seen that. I don't even argue it. Whatever. He never plays. He's hurt. They all do stupid shit like this. He didn't get one this game. Nicholas Jackson gets a yellow card like every single game. Okay? Yeah. And at some point, it's on Pochettino too. And no one has said a fucking word about him. And I don't know why.
I think you're wrong.
Go ahead.
Well,
you picked Chelsea to win this week, and look how that turned out.
Terrible. Because...
yeah.
Listen, I was staring 1-9 in the face and ended up 4-6, so we're very happy about that right
Dylan,
now.
you are the biggest, I think they're back, guy on this podcast.
Yeah, so Kangaroo Court right now is in session. I don't disagree with the beginning parts of everything where, like, Chelsea is Jekyll and Hyde, and I agree that they need to actually have some form. But I think Poch right now is in a spot, and we've said this before, where Arteta was at in Arsenal 3 or 4 years ago. They were all over the place. They sometimes won, sometimes lost, sometimes good, sometimes shit. And I think ultimately, right now, I think it goes to why I was with John on the Chelsea versus United portion of our newest bet, of the fact that I think they're going through growing pains, and I think that I agree that they looked absolutely terrible, but it's what comes with the territory, and I think it's just what we have to expect of it's throwing darts on when you choose the prediction each week of which Chelsea's going to show up at this point. And I think you have to, I think it's the same thing with when you look at college football with these coaches and all this stuff. One, who the hell are you getting on top of that? And two, you have to give him some type of time. Like, it's been 12 to 13 weeks. Not everyone's Gary O'Neill that just can turn something around in that type of time.
So true. First of all, fuck you for bringing up college football. I already forgot about it, and now you just made me relive it. Second of all, the thing with Arteta that I do agree with you that there is this element of time with Pochettino. It's not like he's in 8th. Okay? Actually, I don't even know where
they're in
they might be in 8th.
They're in 10th because I was looking at the table that we could be ahead of them, and then we fucked up. So.
I'm talking about, like, glimpses. I'm talking about performance, okay? They can't finish most of the time. I guess they did score 4 goals against City, whatever. They can't finish a lot of the time, especially against worse teams. They seem to play better against better teams, which is true. But the other thing you have to understand, too, Arteta's working with, 15 guys, okay? So he has to play some of those people. He actually was getting rid of people like Aubameyang because didn't fit, wasn't a right culture fit and stuff like that. Pochettino can't get rid of people. He has too many players, which we've always said about the team. There's too many guys on the team. You had Ugachukwu playing, who I don't think has played more than, 3 or 4 games in the Prem this year. Badiashile just came back. Can't remember who was playing before him. James just came back. Gusto was playing before him. I understand you have injury problems and stuff like that, but there has to be a set amount of players or people in positions, and there's no cohesion with that team, and the players are going to suffer from that because they're not getting consistent run, they're not finding consistent form, and they're going to always do this. They're going to beat a team they shouldn't, and they're going to lose to Nottingham Forest at home. That's just what's going to happen, and this is just what the consistency is being inconsistent.
Yeah, and I want to build with Michael too. Is you add in the factor of contracts at the same time, where they're on these 6, 7, 8 year contracts, and while Poch definitely, I would Dylan deserves time, and I think that he's earned that more than most managers, but he's working and developing talent that is young and hungry and come up together and have purpose. These guys are here for a paycheck for the next 8 years, guaranteed, hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not like you're working with some young up-and-comers at Southampton or at Spurs with a young core. It's a young core, but where's the motivation? They're not on a 2-3 year contract. They're on 8-9 year contracts where they're getting paid, $20, $30 million a year. Where's the, this guy, I'll just wait for the next guy. I'll wait for the next one. And they're not as young as you think. We don't have to go down to each guy, but there is some age there that there's definitely some pressure with Poch where he's like, I don't have the time to develop, I got to win. And I don't think this group has the team cohesion that you need to be successful. And I also think Arteta's team was, a couple years when they struggled, was way better than these guys, period.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I forgot that Lavio was there until you brought it up. I completely forgot that was a thing.
Same. I totally agree.
Last thing for me, I'm just looking at this team that played the substitutions. I think there are I'll give you on form and on glimpses that you've seen from them so far this year. I think there are 3 players that get into other top 6 Premier League teams. I think it's Reece James, just because he's had incredible performances before. He is incredibly injury prone, so I don't, you might not want to take a risk there.
On that point, by the way, do you know, I saw this stat that he hasn't played 3 straight games in a row since 2021.
It's crazy, dude.
Dylan,
it's crazy.
You took my last point.
Sorry.
The other 2 I would say Enzo, because I think with Argentina you saw how good he could be, and then at times he is like the maestro in that midfield. And then I just think on respect and form, you have to say Sterling. Other than that, I cannot put any of these other players confidently in another starting 11 in the top 8. I can't do it.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's going to be the running theme of this podcast for us is like they're Texas. Chelsea's Texas. Is Texas back?
They are back this year. What are you talking about?
This week, no.
That's a tough bet. But you know the phrase like they're back. They're going to get blown out in the first round of the playoff then by 30. They're not as good as any of those teams going to the playoff.
Would you go as far as say Penn State?
I'm going to be honest. You sound like a bitter Ohio State fan. Texas is better than I think you realize.
I don't think Texas is anywhere near Georgia. I don't think Texas is anywhere near Michigan. I don't think Texas is anywhere near Ohio State. I think Ohio State's the third best team in the nation. But
I actually agree. But I wouldn't make this point
not
because then I sound like a bitter Ohio State fan.
it's not a college football podcast. Anyway, you know what it is? A podcast of it's the Premier League.